Do your orchids develop leaf rot or water-soaked leaves like this during the hot summer months? This is a very common problem, especially for people who are new to growing orchids. If it isn't detected and treated promptly, the rot can spread very quickly, damaging the entire plant, and even infecting other orchids in your collection. In today's video, I'll show you how to treat and revive orchids showing signs of leaf rot and water-soaked leaves, helping them recover and grow vigorously again. The best part is that we won't be using fungicides or chemical fertilizers. With just a few simple, easy-to-find ingredients, you can save your orchid and create favorable conditions for it to develop healthy new roots and leaves. If you love growing orchids and want to protect them from soft rot during the summer, be sure to watch this video until the end. Let's get started. The very first thing you should do when you discover an orchid with leaf rot like this is to immediately isolate it from your healthy orchids. This is extremely important because soft rot can spread rapidly in hot, humid conditions, especially when orchid pots are placed close together. In addition, isolating the infected plant makes it much easier to monitor the progression of the disease and evaluate its recovery. After isolating the plant, use a pair of clean scissors to remove all rotten, mushy, or severely damaged leaves. Trim away all infected tissue until only healthy leaf tissue remains. This helps prevent the rot from spreading further into the crown of the plant. Once the damaged tissue has been removed, I'll spray the cut surfaces directly with rubbing alcohol. This helps sanitize the wounds, reduce the growth of bacteria and fungi, and minimize the risk of infection while the orchid is recovering. Next, inspect the entire root system. As you can see, this orchid is still growing in sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss is one of the most commonly used growing media because it retains water and moisture very well for orchid roots. However, during prolonged periods of hot weather, it can also become one of the causes of serious problems. Because sphagnum moss retains moisture for a long time, combined with high summer temperatures, the roots often remain constantly damp with poor air circulation. As a result, the roots can become deprived of oxygen, gradually weaken, and eventually begin to rot. This is also one of the main reasons why many orchids develop yellow leaves, leaf rot, or a general decline in health, even when they are watered regularly. Therefore, before beginning the recovery process, we need to remove all of the old moss so we can carefully inspect the roots and eliminate any damaged portions. Once the entire root system is exposed, continue using the scissors that have been disinfected with rubbing alcohol to prune the roots. Remove every root that is rotten, mushy, dried out, or dark brown to black. These roots can no longer absorb water and nutrients effectively and may become a source of fungal infection for the remaining healthy roots. Trim gradually until you reach healthy, firm root tissue with the characteristic green or silvery white color of healthy orchid roots. In addition to the English voice, we have now created dubbed voices in French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese, Hindi, and Indonesian to help you understand the content more easily. Listen in your preferred language by opening the video and clicking on Settings, the gear icon, to select the appropriate audio language. After removing all damaged roots and leaves, the next step is to rinse the entire plant thoroughly with clean water. This removes rotten root fragments, damaged tissue, dust, and any remaining pieces of the old growing medium left behind after pruning. At the same time, it allows us to inspect the root system and the base of the plant one final time, ensuring that no diseased or rotten areas remain. When rinsing, use a gentle stream of clean water to avoid damaging the healthy roots that are still intact. Once the plant has been cleaned, place it in a dry, well-ventilated location and allow it to rest for a while. This gives the cuts on both the leaves and the roots time to dry naturally, reducing the risk of bacteria or fungi entering the plant. When an orchid shows signs of bacterial infection or soft rot, disinfecting the plant before replanting is a very important step. To do this, today I'll be using cinnamon powder. Cinnamon powder contains a variety of naturally occurring compounds with antibacterial and antifungal properties, which is why many orchid growers have long used it to help protect cuts on stems and roots. In addition, cinnamon helps keep wound surfaces drier, reducing the likelihood that bacteria and fungi will continue developing while the orchid is recovering. I'll add about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder to a clean glass. Next, pour in approximately 500 milliliters of boiling water. The hot water helps release the naturally occurring compounds in the cinnamon, creating a simple solution for treating the orchid. Then stir thoroughly so the cinnamon disperses throughout the water, and its beneficial compounds gradually dissolve into the solution. Cover the container and allow the mixture to steep until it cools completely. During this time, the naturally occurring compounds from the cinnamon will gradually infuse into the water, creating a solution that can be used to help clean and protect the orchid before replanting. After about 3 hours, once the cinnamon solution has cooled completely, strain it thoroughly to remove all of the undissolved cinnamon powder, keeping only the liquid. Be sure to strain it carefully to remove any remaining particles, leaving a clearer solution that will be easier to use in the following steps. The cinnamon solution is now ready to be used on the cleaned and pruned orchid. Next, dilute the cinnamon solution with about 1 liter of clean water. Then stir thoroughly. Diluting the solution makes it gentler and more suitable for orchids during the recovery period after pruning damaged leaves and roots. Which country are you watching this video from? It's wonderful that we can connect with each other from all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit the subscribe button to support me and not miss any orchid care tips. After that, immerse the entire orchid in the diluted cinnamon solution. Make sure the base of the plant, the root system, and all freshly cut areas are fully exposed to the solution. I usually soak the orchid for about 10 to 15 minutes, giving the solution enough time to come into contact with the entire surface of the plant before replanting. During this time, the solution helps clean the orchid while allowing the cut surfaces to dry more effectively and reducing the risk of fungal diseases during recovery. While the orchid is soaking, I'll prepare the sphagnum moss that was removed earlier. Place all of the moss into a small container. If you're having any difficulties while taking care of your plants, feel free to share your plant's condition in the comments so we can find the right solution together. Then add about 1 liter of hot water and let it soak. Using hot water helps clean the growing medium more effectively by removing dirt, organic debris, and reducing the risk of any remaining fungi or bacteria that could potentially harm the orchid. Let it soaking for 20 minutes. After about 20 minutes, once the moss has cooled completely, remove it from the water and allow the excess moisture to drain before using it. This simple treatment not only makes the growing medium cleaner and safer for an orchid that is recovering, but also allows you to reuse the old sphagnum moss effectively, reducing the need to replace it entirely, while saving costs and maintaining a more consistent growing environment. In addition, allowing the moss to drain properly helps balance its moisture content before it is returned to the pot, preventing it from becoming overly wet and reducing the risk of poor root aeration during the early stages after replanting. After soaking the orchid for the recommended time, place it in a dry, well-ventilated location for about 2 days. This resting period allows all of the cut surfaces to dry completely, reducing the risk of infection and giving the orchid time to stabilize before being replanted. After 2 days, I'll begin mounting the orchid again. First, prepare a small piece of wood or a short tree branch to serve as the mounting base for the orchid. The wooden mount also provides excellent air circulation around the root system, helping prevent excess moisture from accumulating around the roots. This reduces the risk of root rot and allows the orchid to adapt more steadily as it establishes itself in its new growing environment. Next, attach a small metal rod to the piece of wood with a screw, just as shown in the video. This metal rod will serve as an anchor point, helping keep the orchid securely supported as it grows. In addition, it helps minimize movement caused by wind or external disturbances, allowing newly developing roots to anchor more securely and establish themselves more effectively. Note that, make sure the metal rod is firmly secured to the wooden mount so it remains stable and does not shift during long-term care. Then spread a thin layer of sphagnum moss over the surface of the wood. This layer of sphagnum moss helps create a naturally moist environment around the root zone, allowing the orchid roots to attach more easily to the wooden mount and adapt more quickly to their new growing conditions. In addition, the moss acts as a protective cushion, helping prevent the roots from drying out when they are exposed directly to the air. If you have questions or want to share about orchids, please post on the community tab of the channel. Let us exchange and learn orchid care experiences together every day. Use thread or a soft tie to secure the moss in place, creating a moisture-retaining cushion for the root system. Securing the moss firmly helps keep it in place during routine care, ensuring consistent coverage around the root zone. In addition, securely fastening the moss provides a stable surface for the orchid roots to anchor to, allowing them to gradually attach to the natural mount over time and helping the plant establish itself more securely during the early stages of growth. If you're enjoying these plant care tips, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more simple, effective gardening advice. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a new video, and let me know in the comments which plant you'd like to see next. Your support helps this channel continue sharing helpful content with plant lovers around the world. Thank you. Next, place the orchid's roots on top of the moss, then tuck a little extra moss around the base of the plant to help maintain stable moisture during the early recovery stage. Adding a small amount of sphagnum moss around the base of the plant helps protect the delicate young roots while providing a consistently moist environment, allowing them to adapt more quickly to the new growing medium. In addition, it helps stabilize the plant's position during the initial stage, reducing movement before the orchid is fully secured in place. After that, use a soft tie to secure the roots to the wood firmly, but not so tightly that the roots become damaged. Securing the orchid with the proper amount of tension keeps it firmly attached to the mounting surface while maintaining the airflow the roots need for healthy respiration. In addition, proper support helps guide the roots to grow along the surface of the mount, encouraging natural attachment over time and allowing the orchid to adapt more successfully to its new growing environment. This also helps minimize movement during the initial establishment period, allowing the young roots to anchor more quickly and develop naturally. Finally, fasten the base of the orchid to the metal support that was installed earlier. This keeps the orchid stable, reducing movement when watering or handling the mount, while allowing the new roots to attach firmly to the wood and grow more naturally over time. Now the orchid has been successfully remounted. After securing the orchid to the mount, hang it in a cool, well-ventilated location with bright, indirect light. During the initial recovery period, maintain adequate moisture around the roots by misting or watering regularly, but avoid allowing the plant to dry out for extended periods. At the same time, avoid placing the orchid in direct sunlight or excessively hot locations as it is still recovering. Results. After just 3 weeks, the results are truly encouraging. New root tips have begun to emerge and grow vigorously from the base of the orchid. These young roots are bright green, plump, and healthy, gradually attaching themselves to the sphagnum moss and the surface of the wooden mount. Not only that, but the leaves have also become greener, glossier, and firmer compared to when the recovery process first began. These are all signs that the orchid has adapted well to its new environment, the root system has resumed functioning effectively, and the plant is steadily regaining its strength. If you continue providing proper care, along with regular misting, to maintain consistent moisture around the roots and leaf surfaces, the orchid will continue developing a strong root system, produce more healthy new leaves, and be well prepared for future flower spike development. What do you think about this method of reviving and mounting a Phalaenopsis orchid on wood? Have you ever tried a similar technique, or do you have another method for saving orchids suffering from leaf rot and root rot during the summer? Feel free to share your experiences, tips, or questions in the comments below so everyone can learn together. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Wonder Garden so you won't miss more simple, effective, and completely natural orchid care tips in future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Wishing you healthy orchids with plenty of vigorous new roots and beautiful flower spikes in the near future. See you in the next video.